Hello Eagles fans and welcome to another episode of the WAFL Report. Now unfortunately the boys couldn't get past the Swan Districts on the weekend, with inaccuracy costing the team going down by 14 points. A 5 behind first quarter was far from the ideal start for West Coast, with the Black Ducks putting 3 majors on the board and holding the lead until the final siren. Jared Cameron and Nicholas Reid were the only multiple goal kickers on the day, whilst Brady Grey was a standout for the Eagles, having 27 disposals, 16 contested, 6 tackles and a game-high 9 inside 50s, with the next closest being 5. And after such a dominant performance on the field, we had a chance to catch up with Brady after the game.
Yeah, so Brady, tough day for the boys obviously. Must have been a bit frustrating to be getting so many opportunities but just not being able to capitalise, particularly early on in the first half.
Yeah, it's disappointing looking back on the game now, the amount of opportunities we had probably in the first quarter, only kicking 5 points, and then in the last quarter to kick 2 goals 7 or 2 goals 8 or whatever we did is disappointing, but I guess the positive of that is we're creating opportunities and we just keep working hard, and at some stage the tide will turn and we'll turn those into goals and get the results that we're after.
Yeah, and they seem to go on top of you early, particularly around the contest. What do you put that down to?
Yeah, it's probably, we've got a lot of guys learning the craft inside. Keegan Brooksby gives us a lot of chances to win the contest, and we've got a few older boys in there, but I guess in our position, the more chances we can give to the younger guys inside, the more they're going to learn, and at some stage this year everything will click, and we want to be a really good organised midfield, and we're working towards that.
Yeah, like you said just before, mate, plenty of opportunities, plenty of inside 50s, getting lots of possession and opportunities, so I suppose that's a positive to work with moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, guys like Jared Cameron are creating opportunities. They're really exciting players. We have Fraser McGuinness go down back today, so we're having new guys in the forward line, and it's up to us midfielders and back defenders to make sure that we're connecting with the forwards and, as I said before, creating opportunities and scoring a lot of goals to win games of footy.
Yeah, and got the curtain raiser at Optus next week against Claremont. So what will be the key areas that you have to work on during the week leading up to the Claremont game on Sunday?
Yeah, we're going to have a strong recovery focus. It's a pretty physical game today. We'll work together on the track this week. I think we trained together at some stage. So we've got a good record at Optus. We're 1-0 there, and we played Claremont a few weeks ago, and it was a fairly intense contest, and they're a really good side. So we're going to have to prepare well and be ready for the challenge of coming.
Now we have some unfortunate news to talk about, and that's the injury to first gamer Alex Coe. He was forced to leave the field due to a dislocated elbow after this tackle deep in defence. Players from both sides signalled for help immediately, and Coe was taken from the field with his left arm clearly in discomfort. We are yet to hear a timeline for his return, but in his first outing in the blue and gold, it's a terrible result. Joel Kalazic also left the field midway through the second term with concussion after copping some friendly fire from Josh Rotham.
Kalazic on the boundary line, of course. As we heard from Dana, he's done for the day, had the concussion test, and it's disappointing for Joel.
Now make sure you stay tuned, because Senior Coach Luke Webster isn't far away to give us his thoughts on the season so far. So let's dive straight into our Eagle Eye catches of the round. To start things off, we simply have to have a close look at Josh Rotham's performance down back. After debuting in the senior side earlier this year, Josh simply looked a class above throughout the game, taking intercept marks, spoiling the ball out of play, and taking a leadership role in defence. He was also instrumental in directing traffic and launching attacking plays with his disposal, finishing the game with 86% efficiency. Our second eye catcher is not the individual, but the playing group as an entirety in the fourth quarter. Being 2 men down heading into the final term, you would understand if fatigue took over and effort would start to drop off. However, this was far from the case for the Eagles. The boys found another gear up and continued to apply a heap of pressure on the Swans defenders with repeat inside 50s. Whilst kicking more than 2 goals 7 would have gone a long way to possibly getting the win, the constant wave of pressure that the West Coast WAFL team is able to apply even late in games shows that with a slight improvement on accuracy, will be hard to run with as time ticks on. And to close out our eye catches for the week, we simply have to take a look at Jared Cameron. It's hard to have a more effective 7 disposal game when you kick 4 goals 1 for the day. Since joining the Eagles late last year, Jared has made it clear that applying pressure is one of his best assets, along with being a constant threat around goal for opposition defenders. He's averaging a goal a game so far in 2019, and with continued development, we'll almost certainly see that average increase. Now joining us on the WAFL Report after a few weeks off, we've got Senior Coach Luke Webster. Thanks for joining us again to give us a rundown of the season so far.
Thanks for having me.
So from the coaching group's perspective, give us a rundown of how you've seen the first 7 games of the season so far.
Yeah, look, the first part of the year has been, I think the guys have been pretty competitive in most games. We had a couple of blokes in terms of some score lines. The South Fremantle game was probably one, but it was probably our ability to kick straight that probably kept the score line a little bit bigger than what it should have been. But I've been really wrapped with the guys' performance over the first 7 games. They've been really competitive and showing really good effort.
Has there been any players or individuals that have stood out or exceeded expectations so far?
Yeah, look, one of the WAFL Eagles guys, Andrew Fisher's, played every game so far. He's come from Kingsley. He's played some really good footy for us down back. We're really liking what we're seeing from him at the moment. And there's probably been a few other guys that have stepped through. Kieran Huggs played basically every game in the forward line and doing some really good stuff for us, putting some good pressure on, which has been fantastic to see. And then from an AFL listed point of view, we've seen a number of guys that have sort of been in and out of our team. Jake Waterman's obviously a standout from a goals point of view. In our team and had some opportunities at the AFL. So, yeah, we're getting some good looks from a few guys.
From the team as a collective, what are the strengths that you've seen in the team so far?
Yeah, look, I think we're getting some really good opportunities in Eagles ball to get the ball in our front half. At times we've let ourselves down with a little bit of our connection, but our supply's right there. The other thing that we've been seeing some really good stuff from is the boys just intent around the contest. We've worked really hard in terms of our ability to win the contested possession and get the ball in our front half, and I think the guys have been able to do that most weeks. And again, with a younger list, it's something we're going to continue to keep working on.
What are some of the things the coaches want to look at improving or working on heading on deeper into the season?
Certainly our accuracy on goal. We're getting I think we had the same amount, if not more, scoring shots than Swan Districts on the weekend. Most of the other games have been very similar, but unfortunately we just haven't been able to finish off our work. So that's one of the things we're going to be really focusing on. We're getting enough looks and enough ball into our front half. It's about our ability to finish off our work.
And we'll move on to the game that we've just played against the Swan Districts. Couldn't get over the line through inaccuracy, as you've sort of pointed out. How did you see the game unfold in the coach's box?
Yeah, look, it was a game where it's probably throughout the quarters we had a patch of 10 minutes where we were really dominant and we probably just didn't hit the scoreboard as much as we'd like in terms of kicking goals. I think we kicked 7 points before we actually kicked a goal, and then the next 10 minutes Swan Districts had the game on their terms and hit the scoreboard, and unfortunately we couldn't just keep the goal column ticking over. But I thought the boys gave great effort all day. They had a crack. They didn't die wondering. I think we kicked 2 goals 7 in the last quarter, so it wasn't through a lack of effort. As I mentioned before, it's probably just making sure we finish off our work, and hopefully it could have been a different story for us.
Losing a couple guys, unfortunately, to injury fairly early in the game. How do you see the development and stocks that we have to come through in the WAFL Eagles side?
Yeah, look, obviously, hopefully we'll get some AFL listed guys back this week. Obviously, Lewis Jetto will probably go back into the AFL team, which then will slide a number down to us. Chris Maston and those types are potentially coming back from injury as well, so that'll help in terms of the AFL listed stocks. But from a WAFL Eagles point of view, we've had Sam Lamont, who came back last week after an injury into his ankle, played 1 game and unfortunately didn't quite get through, had a week off and then came back last week, so he's back into it. Chaz Flint, another guy who missed a couple of weeks, played again on the weekend on the back of injury. So our stocks are going pretty well. We've got a number of guys that are actually missing out at the moment. Joel Ashman's been probably an emergency the last 3 or 4 weeks and has been banging the door down, so hopefully an opportunity for those guys to present, like Luke Salamone did on the weekend, got an opportunity and performed well for us.
As you mentioned before, with AFL listed players, with players like Jackson Nelson, who's been playing in the side and then going up to the AFL squad, do you see that as an opportunity for players not in leadership positions to really hone that skill and really grow there?
Yeah, look, we've got some strong leaders down there, like Fraser McGuinness, obviously our captain, has been there every week and leading really well from the front for us and giving us a great effort on the footy field, but also off. But it certainly does, it gives great opportunities for Josh Rotham to stand up in the back line. He's basically the most experienced backman at the moment. Well, we played Fraser down back last week, but he was our most experienced backman in the side at that time. So it gives him a great opportunity to step up. Similar through the midfield. It's great to have a guy like Brendan Archie to be in the midfield and he can take really strong leadership with Keegan Brooksby, but at times we had Bailey Williams, Xavier O'Neill, first-year player, Luke Foley, first-year player, Braden Ainsworth, second-year player and centre bounce, and that's great for our development of the West Coast listed guys, but as you mentioned, it gives them a great opportunity to stand up and show some really good leadership.
Luke Webster, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Now, before we wrap up here at the WAFL Report, don't forget our next fixture is going to be absolutely massive. We're heading to Optus Stadium for this one. 11:30 a.m. is the curtain raiser to the Eagles game, but we're going to be versing Claremont, and last time only 2 points separated the teams. If you can't get there in person, make sure to head to the Facebook page or YouTube for our live stream. See you there.
A new WAFL era is here. A great day out for the whole family. Kids get in for free, so come down and support your team. West Coast are in and WAFL W kicks off. It's the biggest ever WAFL season.